What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. The opinion I'm about to give is the opinion from a complete stranger online. Please be responsible when competing in the markets. So, I never thought I would be making a video about this, but Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, a exhibition fight. And the reason this fight is so it's strange, isn't it? It's a strange fight. It's an enticing fight, and it's an interesting fight because you have a YouTuber who has probably exceeded expectation with regards to what he could do in boxing. Jake Paul has actually gone on to fight semi-credible opponents. He has actually beaten some of these guys. And, you know, many people don't regard him as a real boxer. But believe me, if you were to box some of these YouTubers, you would understand that to a certain degree, a guy with a pair of boxing gloves on who is athletic and can punch is dangerous, no matter what level. And in Mike Tyson, you have obviously a legend of the game. He has a crazy fan base, and obviously in the past he was a fantastic fighter. So for these two people, almost from two different worlds, to come together and put on a pair of boxing gloves and square it off is fascinating. I want to look at the fact that Jake Paul is the betting favourite. He is the betting favourite going into this fight by a narrow margin. But with Paddy Power, Jake Paul is 13 to 8 for, and Mike Tyson is 5 to 6 against. So a narrow favourite is Jake Paul. And I think you need to look at Mike Tyson, not the Mike Tyson of the past, that wouldn't even be competitive. But if we're looking at the Mike Tyson of now, we really need to look at what we're looking at. Because a lot of Mike Tyson's fans, I think they like to remember the past as if it's the present. One, they overrate what Mike Tyson ever was, even in his prime. And two, they act almost like Mike Tyson, even now, is the man he was before. And he's not. Mike Tyson, with all respect, if you look at his pad work now, he has the body mechanics of a 50-something-year-old. Yeah, he's doing the moves, but if you actually look at the nimbleness, if you actually look at the reflexes, it's not what it was. Now, you can edit pad work, speed up pad work, do multiple takes of pad work until you get the right one that you like on tape. But there are certain things that cannot be hidden on tape. And Mike Tyson is not the man that he was. If you watch him against Roy Jones Jr., that was not the Mike Tyson of old. And Mike Tyson is older now. Jake Paul was competitive against Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is by no means proven himself to be amazing yet. But he was competitive against a guy with an amateur background, comes from a fighting family, and can box to a degree. Put him on the floor. Jake Paul has a history of putting opponents on the floor. Jake Paul is a much younger man. So when I'm looking at where the profit lies, I'm not looking at the Mike Tyson of old, because as gamblers we need to be responsible in the markets, and being responsible in the markets is not looking at the Mike Tyson of old. We need to look at as much tape of Mike Tyson now. This looks like an old man. Father Time catches up with everyone. But does Jake Paul fall for the myth of Mike Tyson? Because truth be told, Mike Tyson, even in his prime, was overrated. I'm not saying it was a good fight. Many people confuse overrated with calling someone rubbish. No, if I say someone's overrated, I could still mean they're good, but they're not as good as the consensus, in my opinion. Would a prime Mike Tyson have beaten Vladimir Klitschko? That's a question. Would a prime Mike Tyson have beaten Tyson Fury in his prime? That's a question. People go on like all Mike Tyson needed to do was walk up to someone and knock them out. But if you looked at the opponents that Mike Tyson was knocking out in his prime, it wasn't Muhammad Ali. It wasn't George Foreman. It wasn't Ernie Shavers. It wasn't Ron Lively. It wasn't Tommy Morrison. It wasn't Lennox Lewis. It wasn't Vitaly Klitschko. I'm not saying he wouldn't have had any stoppages against these opponents. I'm just saying, look objectively at what you're seeing. Mike Tyson would get highlight reel knockouts against a certain level of opposition. I'm not saying they were rubbish. I'm just saying they weren't exactly in the top 10 heavyweights of all time, were they? Or in their prime. Because if you say Larry Holmes, you could say that, but was he in his prime? No, he wasn't. So, even in his prime, Mike Tyson's legacy is questionable. But now he's so far removed from it. Now, the other thing we need to look at is, will this fight be given a draw? Will this fight be a draw? You know, will it end up as a draw? Because, you know, some exhibition fights, there's no winners or losers, and they just want to give it a draw. Because if that's the case, we need to put our hands up as gamblers and stay away. That's a decision that you need to make. Because at the end of the fight, if you're thinking one person won the fight, and you're thinking another person did not win the fight, but it gets given a draw, and everyone's cheering and everyone's clapping, we won't be cheering and we won't be clapping, because we would have made an objective analysis about who's going to win the fight. We've walked away from it knowing that our prediction or our analysis was correct, but both guys' hands were raised and we lose all our money. So that's one thing that we need to be careful of. But looking at this fight, I think that the sensible money, barring the draw, is, I would say, Jake Paul in this instance is where the sensible money lies. Because we're looking at the cash cow. Mike Tyson is more of a myth cash cow now, a legendary cash cow, but he's not the star that he once was. He's still a big star, but he's not the star that he once was. Jake Paul is a contemporary star. Jake Paul is the younger man. Jake Paul is more active. So I think the sensible money here is a Jake Paul outright win. And because the odds are so slim between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, it means that, you know, it means that you're still going to get good money. And also, remember, if you want to hedge the play when you're building your portfolio, hedge it with Mike Tyson by knockout. Because here's the thing, can a 50-year-old man win on points? Can a 50-something-year-old man beat a 20-something-year-old man on points? I would argue not. So if I would say the sensible money is Jake Paul to win the fight outright, and you hedge the play with Mike Tyson by knockout. But if it's a draw, you know, in the good spirits of an exhibition fight, then we need to stay well away from it. And that's a decision that you need to make. Anyway, what do you think about what I spoke about in this video? Let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's also a link for that in the description. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you on the next one.